Hello, welcome to the Jazz Ranch, Hip Cats and Groovy Chicks. I had a request from a subscriber to talk about 2-5-1s in minor keys. So I'm going to be giving you some drills in 2-5-1s in minor and also some exercises to play a melody along with them. And later on I'm going to play the song Autumn Leaves and apply the principles, and I'm going to talk about modes for soloing on Autumn Leaves. So here we go with 2-5-1s in minor keys. When I'm talking about minor scales and minor keys, I'm talking about the relative minor scale of the relative major. And that's an important thing to understand. So let's take the scale of B flat major, because that's the key I'm going to be playing Autumn Leaves in later on. So we'll take B flat major, it has two flats. So that's the scale. Now the relative minor is just the sixth step of that scale. So we build the scale from its sixth step. So we can either go up a sixth or we can go down a minor third. So, and we play the same scale. Now that's the natural minor scale. It's also what we call the Aeolian scale. Now, that's the scale also we use if we're playing this kind of line. Descending line. Now, how does it alter the G major scale? Well, we have a flat 3, a 4, a 5, a flat 6, a flat 7, 1. So you can call it a minor third, a minor sixth, a minor seventh if you like. Whatever, flat 7 or minor, same thing. So that's the scale, that's the relative minor. Now there are two other scales that we want to talk about first, and that's the harmonic minor and the melodic minor. So the difference is the harmonic minor is the same, except that instead of a flat 7 it's natural. So now it goes there, so then it has that interval. Now that's an interesting scale. And also the melodic minor now raises both of these. And that's usually for ascending melodies. And often the natural minor is for descending bass lines. So for that reason we usually have the natural or the melodic minor on the ascending. And now that allows us to have the leading tone there to get us to the 1, and then we don't need it in descending. So then we can descend in the natural minor scale. So that's an important distinction. I think that's the key to the whole thing, is in other words, you understand when you're rising you need that melodically, and then descending you can just go back to the natural minor and descend like this. So ascending, see, ascending natural minor, I'm sorry, ascending melodic minor, descending natural minor. Okay, next step. Okay, there's going to be a lot of information in this video, and I hope you're okay with that, because I really want to cover it, but I don't want to take forever doing it. So, looking at the scale tone sevenths in B flat, they're going to be these. So now if we look at them, we have a minor chord on the 2. Now that's called Dorian. Let's name the steps in terms of modal names for the major scale. That's Ionian, which is 1. 2 is Dorian, which is minor 7. 3 is Phrygian, which is minor 7. 4 is Lydian, which is major 7. 5 is dominant 7, which is Mixolydian. 6 is a minor 7, which is Aeolian. And 7 is half diminished, or minor 7 flat 5, which is Locrian. And then 1 again, which is Ionian. Now that Locrian we're going to see that that particular chord is being used in Autumn Leaves and many songs when you have a half diminished or a minor 7 flat 5. In a minor 7 flat 5, it's called a half diminished. Now it's different from a minor 7. We have major 7, we have dominant 7, we have minor 7, then minor 7 flat 5 has a minor third and a flat 5 in it, or a diminished 5th and a minor 7th or a flatted 7th. And it has a scale built on B flat starting on A. Now, continuing, next step. The next step is what I'm going to call the 2-5-1. And in the case of Autumn Leaves, there's our 2-5-1 into the 1 chord. Now, in a 2-5-1 in minor, the 2 is going to be half diminished. It's different from in major, where the 2 is going to be minor 7. Now the 2 in minor is going to be half diminished. Now that means it's going to be a minor 7 flat 5. Why is that? Because it's in the scale. In other words, we're in G minor, right, which is relative to the B flat major, which has 2 flats. Stay with me now. So if I started on G with the 2 flats, I'm going to have a B flat and an E flat in that scale. So when I get to when I create triads built on G minor now, the relative minor, the 2 chord is going to be diminished. You know, in G major, it's going to be minor 7. It's going to be a minor triad. But now, in minor, it's going to be a diminished triad. This is essential that you understand this. So write to me if you don't get this. But anyway, so we start with the G minor, and so the 2 chord now is going to be minor 7 flat 5. So now the 5 chord can retain that E flat in it and B flat 9. Now that is essential to jazz, because the 2 chord now being minor 7 flat 5, when we go to the 5, now we can keep that common tonality, have the 3rd there and the flat 9 in there, and then resolve to the 1 chord, which is G minor. I'm going to make it a 9. So I'm going to give you the first set of what I would call basic right-hand voicings with left-hand bass notes going through the cycle of fifths. Now, I'll have this printed out for you so you can really learn it from the sheet. But if you can't read music, you can try to follow this. At least get the pattern down and then try to put it through the cycle of fifths. So now here we go with the cycle of fifths in minor keys. Okay, this is not an automatic for me, so if I mess up, stay with me. But I'm going to start out in a key that's practical. So we're going to start out with C minor 7 half diminished, or C minor 7 flat 5 to an F7 flat 9 to a B flat minor up here. Because we're going to be working our way through the cycle. So we want to start high and then end up low. So we're going to do this. So that's C minor 7 flat 5 to F7 flat 9 to B flat minor 7. And then we continue B flat minor 7 flat 5, E flat 7 flat 9, A flat minor. And then continuing through the cycle. So that's the first set. Then you have to do another set, because that just went through one whole tone scale. I'm not going to play the second set because this will just take too much time. But you'll have it on the sheet. In other words, it'll start up here. And like that. That's it. I can go through it quickly like here, like that. But that's the idea of it. So now you'll have it on the sheet. You can study it. So now I'll go on to the next exercise. The next exercise, I'm just taking the same progression, the 2-5-1 drill, and I'm putting it into a spread voicing with using upper extension. So I'm doing this. Here's what it sounds like. Now that makes it sound more like jazz, because what we have there is a C minor 7 flat 5. First of all, we just have the root in the 7th here to the root in the 3rd going to the root in the 7th. But up here we have the flatted 5th, the 7th doubled, and then we have an 11th up here. And then it goes here. Now we have the F7 flat 9, but, sorry, we have the F7 flat 9 with an augmented 5th. So I've tried to make this melodic sounding. And we end up with a B flat minor 9. That sounds more jazzy, like we could do it like this. The idea now, so we go through the cycle. So you could practice each one of these 2 5s and try to improvise on them and get these sounds, but now it goes from there, it goes like this. So now the same thing. So that's B flat minor 11 to E flat 7 sharp 5 flat 9. And you have these on the sheet, and it continues from there. These are a little difficult, but they sound really nice. Now we're getting into the easier ones, because this is C now. So you could do. Put another chord in there if you wanted to, an A7 augmented. So these are great to practice not only just for chords, but also to try to improvise on them, any one of them. And this will, you can apply these to all the songs that you're playing, because you're going to find that you're going to play a lot of songs in a minor key, and you're going to have that half diminished chord in there. So now we'll go to the next step. The next step would be playing full chords in the left hand, either rootless or root position chords, and then playing some type of line in the right hand, like a melodic line or a scale. So the first one is this. That's a 2-5-1 into B flat minor 9. Now C minor 7 flat 5, F7 sharp 5. Let's take it in C. Like that. So now you can practice those. And then another one would be a melodic lick based on that progression. So here's the one I picked. So now you can experiment with trying to play over that lick and embellish it or improvise on it like this. And then try to put it into a song. So now we're going to do that. Here it is in C minor, going into C minor. So you can see this is really good for developing your ear, to be able to hear this in all the different keys. It develops your ear as well as your keyboard knowledge. So now we'll move on to the song, The Autumn Leaves, and apply these ideas to the song. I want to talk about Autumn Leaves, but about modes. And we're in a minor key, but we're still going to relate it back to the major, the relative major. So we know that the modes would be Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, Locrian, and Ionian. So we have those 7 modes that are just scales built on the major scale. So now if we go to the relative minor, we're just altering it. So like we're starting out with the Aeolian mode, and then we go to the Locrian mode. So you see, you may want to check out my book because it has all this in detail, and this is difficult to explain in like a few minutes, but I'm using the Dorian mode on the first chord, so I'm using that to create a melody. So, but it's basically that scale, that B flat scale starting on a C, but I'm just using the notes to create a melody by creating things that I talked about in previous videos, arpeggios and scale-wise motion. Then I go to a Superlocrian, and the reason for that is I use a sharp 5. Superlocrian has an augmented 5th in it. Then I use an Ionian, which is a B flat scale. Then Lydian, which is a B flat scale starting on the 4th step, so it has that A in it, which against the root would be a flatted 5th. Then I use a Locrian, and that's the one that has the 2-5-1 into the relative minor, which is the A minor 7 flat 5. I'm just using the Locrian scale, which is like playing a B flat scale starting on A. Then another Superlocrian, because it has an augmented 5th in it, right there. There's your leading tone to G. Now here's a harmonic minor, because it has that F sharp in there, like this scale. So check out my book, because this will give you a better understanding than maybe this video can try to do. But at least you can see the visual here and hear the tones and get the feeling of what it feels like in your hands. And that's important, because you just can't relate it back to a book or an intellectual process. You have to hear it. Okay, so that's it. We're going to wrap up now. Signing off from the Jazz Ranch. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please write to me. I love to hear from you, and I will always respond to your comments if you give me enough time. And until next time, I'll say in the words of my great friend upstairs, Hermie Dressel, when I left his office, he always said, swing loose. And we'll see you next time around. Bye-bye.